Welcome in to Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jerel Hendricks. Got a great interview today, a very special guest, the head coach of the Woodruff Wolverines, Brett Sloan. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Hope you guys are.
Doing well and appreciate your time. We really do. This is you guys first time tuning in. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Moving Chains. Website movingchains.com. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Coach Sloan is in his second season with the Wolverines. They currently sit at 5-0 on the season. Coach, to get started, let's get a quick background on you. How did you get here to Woodruff? Where you been before, and talk about your coaching career?
Well, I started my coaching career at Chapman, my alma mater. Coached there for Kevin Farmer for 5 years. Took a job over at Burns with Chris Miller was the head coach at the time in 2012 when I took the job. I was there for 3 years. And then in 2014, I took a job at Walton High School in East Cobb or Marietta, Georgia. Mo Dixon, who was our defense coordinator there at Burns for 1 year in 2013. He was the head coach there. Hired me as the quarterbacks coach and co-offense coordinator. And then I was there for 2 seasons. And I got the head job at Kell High School in Marietta. Spent 5 seasons there as the head coach. Had a cup of coffee over at Collins Hill in Gwinnett. I was the offense coordinator there for about 7 months. And then the head coach moved on to another spot. And at that time, I was kind of trying to figure out what we were going to do next. And the Woodruff job came open, and my wife and I were both from the area. Trey Elder, who was the head coach here, several years ago, is a good friend of ours. He was in our wedding, and we talked about the job a little bit and ended up applying. And it was it's been a blessing for us, up to this point to be back around family, but just also be in such a great community and a place that football is important here, but the way you play and the way you carry yourself and character and all those things and discipline and all those things are really important too. So it's a special place, and we're glad to be here. So.
Coach, you got deep roots in that Spartanburg County area, obviously some great programs, and then also, going to Northeast Georgia, there's a lot of good football that's played there. If you don't mind, kind of mention some of those head coaches and maybe just even regular assistants that influenced you.
My first head coach at Chapman was Kevin. I played for Randy Burns at Chapman High School. And Coach Burns, I started volunteering actually as a JV coach while I was in college at USC Upstate. And then when Coach Farmer got the job, he ended up hiring me to be on staff. So I got to work with him. We actually, in I think it was 2007, we went to the first ever state championship that Chapman had played in. So a long time ago now, but that was so we went down there and unfortunately lost to a really good Jerel team. And a few years later, I was at Burns for 3 years. I had 3 different head coaches. So Coach Miller was the head coach the first year, and then Coach Bentley was the head coach in year 2. And Coach Lane was the head coach in year 3. It was just kind of, Coach Miller took the Spartanburg job, and then Coach Bentley got offered the Auburn job, and it was a little crazy how it all happened. But man, what you couldn't ask to be under anybody, 3 better head coaches. I mean, just look at their track record, and the things that I got to learn from Coach Farmer when we made that run to the state championship, and then. The opportunity to learn from those guys was unbelievable. And then I got to go work for Mo Dixon, who's, a really good football coach. I think Mo's coached in 4 different states. He's from Kentucky, coached in Florida. He was a head coach down in South Broward maybe, so he's been a head coach in Georgia. He's been a head coach in Florida. He's been a head coach in Kentucky. Obviously, he was our defense coordinator at Burns. Getting to learn from him was a great experience as well. And then I got to go over and work for Lenny Gregory, who won the 7A state championship in Georgia, and Coach Travis Hunter. He's coached Travis Hunter. He's coached Robert Kimdichie, so he's had the number 1 player in the country twice, once as a position player and coordinator, and then once as the head coach. So just getting, draw from all those experiences is, it's a positive. I am who I am because of the people that I've learned from, and I'm in this position because of those people and the things that they taught me. And, I'm unbelievably grateful to those guys.
So you've been around a lot of different styles, I'm sure, on both sides of the ball, Coach. But, what do you guys like to do at Woodruff there on offense and defense? And then also, do you call plays for the offensive side?
I have an offense coordinator, Jason Settle, and myself. We kind of do it. We kind of combo it. There are a lot of things that I do. I kind of get into a rhythm, and then he has certain things that he knows, that we're looking for. And when he sees those opportunities, he kind of jumps in. And if he says it, I try to run with it. That's just kind of how we operate. So I do have a coordinator, but we kind of combo it as far as calling the plays. I think most of the time when you're good, that's usually how you do it. You have a lot of guys with experience. I mean, we got Joel Goff coaching O-line. He gives great input. Kent Haltwanger, who's coached in college, he's been a head coach. He's been a offense coordinator himself. So we got a lot of people who give input, but for the most part, it's me and Jason on that side of the ball. And then, Taylor Anderson's our defense coordinator. He's got extensive experience in the college game. He's been at Gardner-Webb, Limestone, Valdosta State. He was on staff at UNC Chapel Hill. So he's a very good football coach. But, offensively, we're spread, but we're probably I would call us power spread in a lot of ways. We do run a lot of outside zone, but we also run some gap scheme, a lot of different gap scheme concepts, from counter to duo to some other things. And so we like to run the football, but we like to throw it as well. We like to be as balanced as we can be, and I think the stats kind of will show that. When we're at our best when we're both throwing it and running it, and when we're using the run to set up the throw. I saw some of that at Clinton and things like that. So I feel like that's when we're at our best. Defensively, we base out of an odd front, but we're pretty multiple. We shift to an even front against certain things, and we play a multitude of coverages on the back end, from quarters, press quarters. We play some cover 2 read, or play some. We roll to 3 and play different versions of 3. So we're pretty multiple on both sides of the ball. So.
Coach, year one is all about setting a foundation and creating a culture. You guys went 4-7 last year, but you've made a very big leap. What did you see in the offseason or in that first season to know that you guys were capable of to this hot start?
Well, I just think even though you couldn't see the fruits of it yet, you could see the buy-in from our entire program. If you were at the Rim playoff game, our kids, we didn't win the game, but even when it was – it was when it was already determined, they still played to. They played to the very last whistle. And they walked off the field with their head held high, and they never melted on each other. They never pointed fingers. There was no blame game. They stuck together, and I feel like we were already seeing that buy-in. It just hadn't produced the fruit yet. And then you get to turn the page to this season, and I think last year, by the end of the year, we were playing 10 sophomores and 2 freshmen. So we were starting about 7 sophomores, and we had starting 1 freshman, and then we had about 12 total underclassmen who were significant contributors. Who were playing a lot. So sometimes I tell people this all the time. Sometimes they just need another birthday. I learned that from a coach at Collins Hill. He would say that all the time. Sometimes they need a birthday or 2. And we had some guys that needed a birthday, and they needed another year in the weight room, and they needed, to grow and mature and, learn how to play football the right way. And, we've got a great strength coach here. Coach Thomas does a phenomenal job with our guys. We're very competitive at the state strength meets and all those things. And, they've made huge leaps and bounds there, but we're a lot smarter football players. We understand our scheme better. We understand football in general better. So we have a football 101 course that all our guys go through, in the off season, and it just talks about, we just things that you assume people know, that players know, they don't really know. So there's some terminology there, like, well, who's the forced offender? Well, as a football coach, you use that term all the time, but when you're talking to a 14 or 15-year-old, they're going to look at you and tell you, yeah, they understand, but they don't really understand. So,
yeah,
there's some things like that we've implemented, and we feel like you're starting to see that payoff there. And And admin's been unbelievable as far as we've got a lot of people pulling in the same direction right now. You got, admin who's for the first time ever, we have a athletics class, where we're able to do some of that stuff that other schools were already doing, and that starts from the top down, but it's just unbelievable. Just the buy-in we have from top to bottom right now. So, and I think you're starting to see the fruits of that, like we said earlier. So,
Coach, who are some of those guys that have helped you get off to such a hot start? We saw you back in week 0, and you had, I feel like, playmakers everywhere, both sides of the ball, and just running, throwing, everything. But who are some guys that folks should really be on the lookout for if they're checking out a Woodruff game this fall?
I mean, I think you got to start with TJ. At quarterback, TJ Morris, unbelievable high school quarterback. I think he's just. And the thing about TJ is it's not just passing statistics. That's what everyone sees. What you don't see is the way he manages the game and the way he checks us in and out of things all the time that people don't know or they don't see. And he's very, very has us, and this is used way too often probably, but he has a super football IQ. He's the son of a coach. His father's the athletic director here. His mom's principal, so he understands structure. He understands football. He's been the ball boy. He was the ball boy here growing up. Like it's a neat story, and all he's ever done is be on the sidelines as a Woodruff Wolverine, and to see all that coming to fruition for him, is a lot of fun. But he's super, super high football IQ, and he gets it. He gets the game. He gets situations. He prepares. He's already got notes on the opponent before he and I ever meet. Like he was taking notes on Clinton for 8 months. I mean, back in January, he's watching it like a coach, just getting ready. So he does those things, and he kind of makes us go. But then you got to look at there's a lot of guys from Corey Moats out at wide receiver, unbelievably dynamic playmaker, great with the ball in his hands, great in the backfield. He's great out wide. You can put him in the slot, and he's really good. He's just very versatile. You got Cam Taylor at tight end, who, he's another one of those pieces that makes us very versatile because he's 6'5", 220. He can split out and play wide receiver and play in the slot, or he can come in and attach as a tight end, and we use him that way. So it's really hard, and we can go with Corey and Cam, we can go from 11 to 10 personnel to 20 personnel without anyone ever coming off the field, and that's a nightmare for a defense coordinator when you're trying to figure out, what their personnel looks like and all those things, So those guys, obviously Aiden on offense. Okay. Aiden's been phenomenal. Another guy who's really versatile. We get him involved in the passing game quite often as well. If you guys were at Clinton, so you saw him motion out to empty and do some things and things like that. And then we got a great offensive line. We got 5 seniors up there this year who, I mean, look, you don't rush for the numbers we've rushed for unless you're blocking people. And those guys have done a phenomenal job just reestablishing the line of scrimmage. We have several different run schemes, and for the most part, they're really sound in how we block them, and they get it. They execute it really well. Defensively, I think it all starts with Hunter West at safety, a really good football player. He plays in the box for some. He inserts in the run, and then he plays on the deep hash. Really good football player. You got our linebackers, Trey Rogers, phenomenal. He plays our outside backer to the field, what a lot of people might consider a nickel type position. He's very good at that. Trayvon Lee's our boundary outside backer. The 2 inside backers, Jordan Hood and Sean Graybill, they are they're contact seekers. They don't back down from it. They actually and they don't tolerate it either. They embrace it. So they those guys are they're good football players, and so just
Coach Hurricane,
name a few. So.
For sure. Coach, Hurricane Helene, wreaked havoc in the state, especially in the upper state area here. You're looking at an extended layoff, going to be 28 days before you guys, face off this Friday. What have you done as a staff to stay sharp and, keep the kids, keep that edge and get ready to play?
Well, we're blessed and we're fortunate because we have very mature kids right now, and they've handled it really well. The things that have been a concern to us, obviously, are things that people can't control, like that they might not have power at home, or they couldn't get out of their driveway, or whatever, So those things, while you understand them, they do cause problems, and there was grace given, obviously. But those guys, they've handled everything really well. I think the biggest issue for us is we've had really good practices. It's just, game speed is game speed, and that's a little bit of concern, if you're coming off 28 days. I mean, there's pros and cons to everything, just like we should be pretty healthy. We haven't been getting beat up on lately, but you do worry about your timing and your rhythm a little bit and things like that. And, especially when you're playing a team like MVP, who's as dynamic as they are, like, how do you simulate how fast Jalen McGill can get to the edge? I mean, that's like, now luckily we have a very good running back too. So it helps a little bit with, going against each other. Like last Thursday, we had a little bit of an inter squad. We just did like a competitive period where we didn't go to the ground, but it was, there was if you lost, there was a consequence, and, and they got after it, and they talked a little smack and it got going a little bit. We just tried to do that to create some type of game atmosphere, but it is a concern, but I like where we're at right now if we can just continue to finish this week. So.
You mentioned it, Coach. You guys have a big-time matchup against MVP on Friday, what some people are saying could be potentially for the region title, depending on how it all shakes out there. But what are the challenges that the Stars present for you guys as you get ready for the contest on Friday?
They create so many big plays, and they're so explosive. Right? You can feel like you're in a really good spot, and then all it takes is one person not doing their job, and and boom, it's a 70-yard touchdown. So they're just their ability to score, so quickly on offense is a big concern, and their ability to make plays, is a big concern. And, you have to find a way to limit them and take big plays away from them and make them drive the football, and that's something a lot of people hadn't had a lot of success with, but it's something that we got to try to be good at, and their defensive front's good. They cause some problems. They get pressure on the quarterback. They're big and they're strong. They're hard to move. They got a really good linebacker in number 3 who he embraces contact as well. He's very physical, so, and then obviously they got Shimon Blackett, one of the corners, who's a phenomenal athlete, and he can take your best guy and he can really give you some problems there, so. They're a good football team. They run really well, and it should be fun. It should be a good matchup, So.
Coach, in preparing for this interview, we did some research on Coach Varner there. You guys have such a storied tradition. Wanted to know what that means to you, and, you guys are getting back to the winning ways. Like, how important is it to the community as well?
Look, football, this is one of the few places you go to, and it's very similar to Clinton. And what an environment that was on that Friday night. So the town still shuts down here. It's one of those places where everybody's still Friday night going to the football thing. The game is the thing to do. And there's a lot of people here who take great pride in the product that's put on the field, and that's because that's what Coach Varner did for so many years. And deservedly so. So there's great tradition, and we have an obligation to perform and to play well and to play at a high level and play with a certain character, and just to honor those guys who've come before us, But I think the community is excited right now, and we hope we can continue to keep them excited, So.
Put Founders in the game and win big with our great rates. Whether you're looking for a loan or want to grow your money with a certificate, Founders Federal Credit Union can help you move the chains on your financial goals. Not a member? No problem. Visit foundersfcu.com to see if you qualify. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply.
Coach, a couple last easy ones here for you, some quick ones here before I let you go. If Jerel and I are coming to a game in Woodruff on a Friday night, what's the go-to pregame meal spot that we got to just check out?
Woodruff on Friday night. Well, there's a lot of good places. Obviously, everyone around here talks about the mustard seed. If you like, just country cooking. It's a meat and three type place, but it's a buffet, and everybody talks about it. There's a couple of newer places downtown that are really good. From Tap 3 is a local favorite, wing and burger joint, and sports bar kind of feel to it, and then there's Carolina Fine Food. I mean, there's several good places, but those are the ones that jump off off the top of my head. So,
Coach, the last one before we let you go, we do these in-season interviews. That means that your team's having a great season so far. What is it going to take for them to continue to perform at this high level and make a deep run in the playoffs?
Well, I mean, we talked about it a little bit yesterday. Do we have the courage to finish? I mean, we had the motivation to start. Now, do we have the courage and the determination to finish? And the understanding that it only gets the longer and longer this winning streak goes, the more difficult it gets. Right? We talk about that because you're going to get everybody's best shot. And that's just, you have to be dialed in. And you can't lose sight of the little things. We got here because we execute the little things, and we play with great effort, and we play with great execution. And we talk about it. Our little mantra deal is like EAT, EATT, and it's and we have a very specific definition for effort: relentlessness for 4 to 6 seconds. And we, and the A is accountability, and we define that as do your job. And so we just can't forget who we are, and that's who we are. And we got to stay focused on those things. So.
This has been great. I want everyone to go follow Coach Sloan and the Wolverines program on social media. They do a great job posting updates on their kids and highlights. Definitely go check them out there. Like I mentioned, follow us as well on Facebook and all social media, movingchains.com. Moving the Chains brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Jerel, anything else for Coach? We'll let him go today.
Coach Sloan, we just want to thank you so much for your time today. It's been so much fun keeping up with your program, especially since that big win week 0. You guys have continued to roll this season. We wish you luck and health as you guys go through this region slate and make a deep run in the playoffs.
Well, guys, thank you for having me. We look forward to seeing you guys out this Friday night, I assume. So,
yeah, we appreciate it, Coach. We'll probably see you down there on the sideline for sure. But best of luck, and we'll chat soon, all right?
Sounds great. Y'all have a great week, okay? Thank you so much. Okay.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.